The album has been out how long?
2 weeks.
And it's already sold 1 million copies.
Here's a shocking revelation about one of the greatest singers. Luther Vandross's skeletons are out in the open, and it's causing chaos. Before now, everyone thought he had no wife or kids. People thought he barely interacted with women from his several comments. How then does he have a widow who's revealing details we've never heard about? Why did he keep her hidden for several years? What will happen to his kids? Why didn't he mention them in his will? There's so much to unpack, so stay tuned. The man behind the voice. Luther Vandross Jr. wasn't just a singer or songwriter. He knew the magic that went on behind song creation. He worked with several record labels and earned himself a spot on the list of the world's greatest music producers. He went from being a singer to becoming the singer, and he dominated the airwaves for 25 years. Many confess there's no R&B artist like Luther. He had an unforgettable personality. When he sang, you could tell the lyrics came from the soul. This dedication made him a fan favorite. His fame was instant. He became a top contemporary music artist, a position that not many were recognized for. The tenor singer had a unique vocal range, so much so that he was called the best voice of a generation, Pavarotti of pop, and the Velvet Voice. The critics couldn't change their minds on Vandross. He was that exceptional. With such commitments came the accolades. He became one of the greatest American R&B singers ever to live. He sold over 40 million records globally and received 11 RIAA certified platinum albums. These came back to back. It seemed Luther could do no wrong when it came to singing. Even his silliest lyrics became hit songs and sold out. Rolling Stone called him one of the 200 greatest singers of all time, and Billboard also sang his praises.
Rolling Stone reviews are not easy to, they're pretty critical on the music that they review. But they gave this one 4 stars, and thank you.
He won 80 Grammy Awards and became part of NPR's 50 Great Voices. That's not all. If Luther didn't make it into the Hall of Fame, then who exactly is on that list? He was inducted into both the National Rhythm and Blues Hall of Fame and the Grammy Hall of Fame. One of his all-time favorite songs, Dance with My Father, still blows minds whenever it comes on. If you want to know the history behind this great artist, keep watching. You'll also find out why he had to hide his marriage and kids from the world. How he began. Vandross was born April 20, 1951, at Bellevue Hospital. He grew up in Kips Bay, a small neighborhood in Manhattan, New York City. Everyone knew the little boy was special. The first sign they had was his birthday. He shared the same date as General Douglas MacArthur's ticker tape parade throughout the same city. Although he was the 4th and youngest child, there was something different about him, and you could tell from the moment you set eyes on him. He took after his father, Luther Vandross Sr. He was a singer and craftsman, while Ida, his mother, was a nurse. She took care of him and his siblings, Anne, Anthony, and Patricia. Luther spent most of his childhood on Manhattan's Lower East Side and lived in the Alfred Smith houses. It was a public housing development with a variety of activities ongoing. It was always bubbly. The evenings were the most favorite part of Vandross's day. He could sit around his parents' couch and watch the exciting moments. For Luther Vandross, music was natural. As little as 3, he owned a phonograph and learned to play the piano by himself. He had no external help, just sharp ears and a heart that knew music. He often listened to his father and tried to sing like him. They listened to the same genre of music and danced to the same rhythm. Sadly, Luther's father passed on when he was only 8 years old. The cause of his demise was diabetes. It was a heartbreaking moment for the little boy. The demise changed their lives forever. At 9, his family moved to the Bronx. However, it became the start of Luther's music journey. His sisters often took him to theaters, and it was one of his most cherished moments. His sister Patricia was part of the vocal group The Crest, so that meant theater visits became regular for Luther. One night, she took him to the Apollo Theater to watch Dionne Warwick and Aretha Franklin perform. Sitting in a room filled with sounds was all he wanted. He loved every bit of it and wouldn't trade it for the world. Although the little boy didn't know much about singing, he was certain he had found purpose. In high school, he established the first Patti LaBelle fan club and was part of a music group called the Shades of Jade. They performed at the Apollo Theater on amateur night, making the most of every opportunity to sing on the stage. It wasn't the only group Luther was part of. He was a member of a theater workshop called Listen My Brother. In 1969, He joined them to perform in front of thousands at the Harlem Cultural Festival. He featured in their singles, including Only Love Can Make a Better World. He also featured with them in the pilot episode and other episodes of the first season of Sesame Street. Luther's childhood memories were epic because he had music on the ride. After he graduated from William Howard Taft High School in the Bronx, he pursued a degree at Western Michigan University, but dropped out after a few semesters. Education was important to him, but not as much as music. He decided it was time to pursue his passion, music and fame. After many nights at the Apollo Theater, he became one of the sensational singers. Top celebrities wanted Luther Vandross as their backing vocalist. It became a long list of singers, and he was always willing to take the job. He sang in famous albums by Donny Hathaway, Roberta Flack, David Bowie, Diana Ross, Donna Summer, and Stevie Wonder. He sang as a lead vocalist for a disco group called The Change and featured on their certified album in 1980. Warner and RFC Records released The Glow of Love. The song became a major hit. It was at this moment that he made the most significant decision of his life. He chose to take his path. He became a solo artist. Luther left the group and signed with Epic Records. In 1981, he released his debut album Never Too Much. Other songs that made waves included Here and Now, Any Love, Power of Love, and Love Power. He recorded cover versions of songs by different artists, including Always and Forever, Superstar, Since I Lost My Baby, and For You to Love. He also worked as the primary producer on Aretha Franklin's Jump To It album, which topped the R&B album chart in 1982. He was also famous for duets with celebrities like Mariah Carey, Beyoncé, and Janet Jackson. Their voices were a perfect match for The Closer I Get to You, Endless Love, and The Best Things in Life Are Free. These songs later became hit songs in his music career. Let's backtrack a little. In the late 70s, he was part of a band named Luther. The group included some members of Shades of Jade, Anthony Hinton, and Diane Sumler. Teresa Reed and Christine Wiltshire, who were signed to Cotillion Records, were also part of the team. They went on a music streak with several singles, including It's Good for the Soul, Funky Music Is a Part of Me, and The Second Time Around. While these songs did well on the charts, their albums, Luther and This Close to You, didn't do much for the audience. Did this stop Luther from producing or writing songs? It couldn't. He pushed forward. He kept singing. He bought back the rights to the albums after Cotillion exited the group, and he prevented them from being put up for sale again. In 1972, he was a backup vocalist for Flack and Donnie. He sang with Dolores Hall on the songs Who's Gonna Make It Easier for Me and In This Lonely Hour. Many people loved the songs, but they never knew Luther wrote them. He was a great songwriter. He had his way with words and drew inspiration from everything. He wrote Everybody Rejoice and A Brand New Day for the Broadway musical The Wiz. In 1975, he worked with David Bowie on his Young Americans album. The album topped charts and took them on several tours. Luther was thrilled to serve as a backup vocalist for these amazing stars. Although he could take up the microphone and captivate the audience, he never felt inferior for not taking the lead songs. Though he was a solo artist, he derived joy from writing songs for others and working as a backup vocalist. He worked with other bands, including Mandrill, Cheek, and Todd Rundgren's Utopia. He sang lead for Reg Diamond's disco band, Bionic Boogie, and delivered a strong performance in the song Hot Butterfly. He also featured with Patty Austin in the song I'm Gonna Miss You and worked on Quincy Jones's album. He performed You Are the Sunshine of My Life with the Soiree Band and also appeared in the Charm album Let It Shine. Luther was also good with ad-libs. He worked with Sarita Wright and Philip Bailey on the hit single Part-Time Lover and was the voice of Zack in the ABC cartoon Zack of All Trades. In 1977, he produced commercial songs for major companies like Mountain Dew, Kentucky Fried Chicken, NBC, Burger King, and Juicy Fruit. He did this until the early 90s and continued as a session singer. His career breakthrough came in 1980 with his feature in a pop dance act called Change. Jacques Fred Petrus, a French and Italian businessman, created the concept. Luther was happy to be a part of it. He never knew it would bring him into the spotlight. Their hit single The Glow of Love and Search became one of Luther's famous songs. In an interview with Vibe, he said, "The Glow of Love was the most beautiful song I've ever sung in my life. The song was that good." His partnership with Jacques was beneficial for his career, but he withdrew from another project. He planned to work with him on their second album, Miracles, but he didn't pull through because the pay was little. It looked like a setback for Luther, but it soon turned into a miracle. Then, in 1981, he signed a contract with Epic Records. After several covers, tours, and performances as a backup vocalist, Luther picked up his career as a solo artist. That's when he released the album Never Too Much. It included a rendition of Bacharach and David's song, A House Is Not a Home. His major song on the album, Never Too Much, became the R&B song of the century. In days, it became #1 on the R&B chart. It was at this moment that Luther realized he had entered the spotlight and he was there to stay. He quickly made collaborations that would last throughout his career. He worked with his high school friend Nat Adderley on music arrangements and brought Marcus Miller on his team. The bassist played on several of the tracks and also produced and co-produced. He released several albums that did well and continued to work as a guest vocalist for bands. His albums made headlines and became #1 on the pop charts. His single Stop to Love was a trendy song back in the day. This outstanding performance brought him deals. He went from duets with celebrities to producing their songs. He wrote and produced It's Hard for Me to Say for Diana Ross's Red Hot Rhythm and Blues album. The singer later performed the song as an a cappella tribute to Oprah Winfrey to celebrate her final season of The Oprah Winfrey Show. In 1989, he released a compilation album, The Best of Luther Vandross. The album included songs that had inspired him. Fans were excited to get a catalog of his all-time classics. In 1990, he worked with the famous Whitney Houston in her song, Who Do You Love?, which was featured on her album, I'm Your Baby Tonight. After this, Luther released more albums, and the awards rolled in. In 1991, he received his first Grammy Award for Best Male R&B Vocal Performance. The following year, he received another Grammy Award for the same category, and his song, Power of Love, won the Grammy Award for Best R&B Song. His duet with Janet Jackson for the movie Mo became a hit in 1992. 5 years later, he won another Grammy for his track Your Secret Love. At the 1997 Super Bowl at the Louisiana Superdome in New Orleans, Luther was given the most incredible honor. He sang the American National Anthem. He also ventured into acting with his role in the sitcom 227. He also had a non-speaking role in the movie The Meteor Man. He switched to a few record labels at the height of his music career. After releasing his single I Know on Virgin Records, he moved to J Records. He also worked with Clive Davis to release his album in 2001. The self-titled album was his most successful work. Songs like Take You Out and I'd Rather took major slots on the R&B and pop charts. It also topped adult contemporary charts. Between 1981 and 1994, his songs were on the top 10 list every year. In 2000, he went on tour with Diana Ross and opened for her in Philadelphia at First Union Spectrum. The following year, he performed a cover of Michael Jackson's Man in the Mirror at his 30th anniversary special. He worked with 98 Degrees and Usher on the songs. In 2003, he sang a cover of Marvin Gaye's song What's Going On. This was his last collaboration with any singer. His song took over international space from the album Dance with My Father. He released the song in loving memory of his father. The lyrics were a reflection of his childhood memories and his mother's recollections of the family singing and dancing in the house. The 2004 release became a significant hit. In the first week of its release, Luther recorded an album sale of over 400 copies. It also became #1 on the Billboard 200 album chart. The famous song on the album, Dance with My Father, won the 2004 Grammy Award for Song of the Year. It also won him his 4th Grammy in the category of Best Male Vocal Performance. Everyone loved the song and appreciated Luther's dedication to his father. For the music video, he featured several celebrities alongside their father and other loved ones. Think About You was another single on the album that did exceptionally well. It took the #1 spot on Urban Adult Contemporary Song of 2004. Luther Vandross was an iconic singer. Whenever he stepped into the room, you could sense happiness. Fans didn't just love his voice, they loved his personality. He was highly esteemed by other artists in the field. However, despite his success in music, something remained uncertain about Luther. Many wondered why he never hung around women. Aside from his duets and performances with great singers, he stayed away from any intimate relationship with them. It raised eyebrows. Many formed theories about his love life. Were the speculations true? Was Luther Vandross what people called him? Let's find out. relationships and rumors. He never married and had no kids. But was that the whole truth? Fans thought it was impossible for him not to have any connection with a lady. They didn't understand why the singer chose to keep his distance. Some speculated that he hated women, while others said he was into men. In 2006, one of his friends spilled the beans on Luther's business. Bruce Valanche spoke with our magazine about their inside conversation. He said to me, "No one knows I'm in the life." He had very few intimate contacts. Bruce said his longest romantic relationship was with a man. They kept the relationship hidden, and it lasted for over 10 years. No one knew about it except his close friends. Patti LaBelle also confirmed that he was gay. Luther preferred to keep his affairs private, so he never spoke about the matter and never addressed the rumors about his life. Although he had many lady fans, he managed to work with them while he kept his secrets. Everyone who knew Luther would describe him as a fat and chubby guy. However, things took a turn in 1985 after his weight loss journey. It was a surprise to fans as he went from 325 pounds to a slim man. He lost 85 pounds, and fans couldn't believe it. Some blogs even speculated about lies, and Luther did not sit back. He filed a libel suit against a British magazine after it reported his weight loss as a result of AIDS. He said he was on a strict diet of high protein and no carbohydrates for a year. His relationship and weight loss weren't the only controversies he dealt with. He faced a career hit in 1986, and it was terrible: the car accident. With his influence in the music industry, Luther also sought expansion. This decision led him to Jimmy Salvemini. He found the youngster in 1985. Jimmy was only 15 at the time. He got Luther's attention with his appearance on Star Search. Luther knew that Jimmy would work with him from the moment he heard him sing. He contacted Jimmy and made a deal to voice some of his songs. Jimmy had a manager, his brother Larry Salvemini. After a meeting with Luther, they negotiated a contract with Elektra Records for $250,000. Luther also agreed to produce the album, and it was released in 1986. Jimmy's album, Roll It, was a success. Luther said they needed a celebration. Luther, Jimmy, and Larry got in a car on January 12, 1986. They were in Luther's convertible on Laurel Canyon Boulevard, in the north section of the Hollywood Hills in Los Angeles. The ride was smooth, and Luther was moving at a speed of 50 mph. He stepped out of line and ran across the double yellow center line of the two-lane street. He turned sideways and collided with the front of a southbound car. He then swung around and hit a car. Those who witnessed the incident reported that it was a terrible sight. The three men were rushed to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. That's where they got the shocking news. Larry Salvemini didn't survive the accident. He had the most injuries as he was in the passenger seat. His brother, who was in the back of the car, only had cuts and bruises. Luther had 3 broken ribs, a broken hip, several bruises, and facial cuts. He was charged with manslaughter after Larry's demise. Although there was no evidence that he was driving under the influence of alcohol or any substance, his driver's license was revoked for a year. Luther felt sad about the incident. He never meant for it to happen. He pleaded no contest to reckless driving. Larry's family supported Luther. They knew it wasn't intentional. However, things took a strange turn. They filed a lawsuit for wrongful death against Luther and later settled in court with payment. Luther was charged with $630,000 payment to the Salvemini family. Demise.
It's still a work in progress.
My plan is by the time I'm 50 to have the whole house decorated. So I'll take the next 20 years.
Luther Vandross's demise was devastating. He faced many health problems, but no one expected it would lead to his passing. He had diabetes and hypertension. He was always in and out of the hospital for years, and it got worse. On April 16, 2003, he suffered a stroke at his home in New York. He always made a comeback from his health attacks, but this one was severe. Luther was in a coma for 2 months. When he got better, fans were relieved. However, he had lost his ability to walk, speak, and sing. He had to use a wheelchair and took physiotherapy classes. He made progress and regained his walking abilities. He even attended functions. He was a guest on the Oprah Winfrey Show. He appeared in a pre-recorded video segment to receive his 2004 Grammy Awards. He said these words, "When I say goodbye, it's never for long because I believe in the power of love."
You sing about love all the time.
Because love concerns people. Love is something everybody is trying to get right.
No one knew it would be one of his final moments. On July 1st, 2005, He passed on at the JFK Medical Center in Edison, New Jersey. Sadly, Luther's mother outlived all 4 of her children. He and his siblings, along with his father, all passed from diabetes and asthma. Luther Vandross passed away at the young age of 54. He suffered a heart attack that led to his departure. On July 8, 2005, his funeral took place at Riverside Church in New York City. He was buried at George Washington Memorial Park in Paramus, New Jersey. Several celebrities graced the event to pay their final respects. Stevie Wonder, Patti LaBelle, and Aretha Franklin were among the audience. They sang and shared their memories of him. After his demise, many people paid tribute. His former label, J Records, released an upbeat R&B track, Shine, to honor Luther. The song was released as a soundtrack to the movie The Fighting Temptations, but it didn't make the final cut. Despite this setback, the song reached number 30 on the Billboard, and its remix took number 10 on the Club Play chart. In October 2007, the 3 labels he worked with came together to do something special. Epic Records, J Records, and Legacy Recordings worked on a 4-disc boxed set titled Love Luther. It featured all of his R&B and pop hits throughout his music career. It also features tracks of Luther that the world has never heard of. One of the songs, Only You, became a soundtrack for the movie Made in Heaven. Sony Music also honored the legend in 2015. They released his compilations and organized a live recording of the songs. Decades after his demise, he received accolades. Several artists have spoken about him as their inspiration. John Legend, D'Angelo, and Nayo are a few who don't hesitate to discuss their impact on their music success. Stockley Williams, the lead singer of Mint Condition, spoke about him in an interview. "I studied Luther for such a long time because he was the epitome of perfect tone. All of us making slow jams were inspired by the slow jams Luther Vandross made. He was a star, and other celebrities confirmed it. Mariah Carey often said that she was intimidated by Luther during the recording of their duet Endless Love. He is still recognized as a legend. In 2010, NPR ranked him in its 50 greatest voices in recorded history. They said he was the platinum standard when it came to R&B song styling. GPR Records released a smooth jazz album that included several artists' tributes to Luther. Another album, which included songs performed with several outstanding stars, was released. Fans got complications from his work with Celine Dion, Alicia Jets, John Legend, and Jamie Foxx. Years later, some celebrities won Grammy Awards for their rendition of Luther's tracks. Beyoncé won a Grammy for her cover of So Amazing, and Aretha Franklin received an award for her rendition of A House Is Not a Home. The album So Amazing, an all-star tribute to Luther Vandross, was released to honor his memory. On April 20, 2021, Google paid tribute to Luther Vandross. They celebrated his 70 years birthday with a doodle of an animated clip that plays his song Never Too Much. Kendrick Lamar and SZA paid tribute to him in a single called Luther. They also showcased his cover of If This World Were Mine, a duet with Cheryl Lynn. In 2024, a documentary was released to capture his life, career, and legacy. He was the subject of Luther, Never Too Much. Luther Vandross loved music. He never got tired of singing. There was never enough love song in the world, that's what he thought. He spent his music career singing about love and reminding people what truly mattered.
Well, everybody has to be allowed his own expression, and that's what I think about all the time. So it ends up in the songs.
Net worth and will. In 2009, there were rumors about Luther's will. At the time of his demise, he had over $40 million. He amassed this net worth from his successful career. He released records that sold out in their millions and went on several tours. He made guest vocals appearances and also worked with other prestigious artists. Luther had more than enough money to last him a lifetime. No wonder people questioned where all the money would go, considering he had no wife or children. Luther left money to a diabetes group. The Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation got a hefty donation from his estate. He instructed Carmen Romano, his longtime business manager and executor of his estate, to approve the payment. In a press interview, Carmen addressed the research firm. Luther was one of the most generous persons whose personality and talent left an imprint on everyone. Given his family history of diabetes and his struggle with the disease, it was vital for him to help find a cure for diabetes. His gift will live on in the hope and promise of a better life and, ultimately, a cure for all people touched by diabetes. His generosity will help speed the pace of research leading to a cure. Although Luther didn't survive several health issues, he believed that he could help save others. He wasn't just dedicated to helping the world through music. He also tried his best to support through charity. His songs outlived him, and his legacy remains unmatched. What do you think about Luther's dark secret? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to this channel. Before you go, watch the other videos on your screen.